In this case, in my case, I have already completed one page, which is image number 133. I'm going to go on to the next one. The green button on the right basically said these are the choices you can have. We encourage you to work on one page. When it's completed, go to the next one. So in this case, I'm going to pick the next one. When I click this, it's now open up the data entry form. This is pretty much the core of the system. Let me explain to you roughly what we're looking at here. There's an image number, which is the page we're working on. You will see on the top part of the screen is the actual image itself. I'm going to scroll down, and you can certainly see the date of departure, the name, nationality or nation, the age, occupation, residence, and so on. As I scroll down further, you see the transcription, the actual data entry form itself. I'm going to go through and show you very quickly how to actually work that. So first of all, in terms of the structure of the form, you can certainly scroll up and down. With this image, you can use your mouse, the scroll button in the mouse, to zoom in or zoom out of the image. You can use the mouse, which is, I think, holding down the key, whether you're on a Mac or a Windows system, drag it left and right, you'll be able to zoom and pan in and out of the form. It's important to note here on the far left of the page, there's a number, 201, 202, 203. This is important because this is the link that we established between the image and the details that we're going to enter. So it is quite important every now and again to stop to make sure that we've got the right number against the right line. The second part of this system, which is the lower part of the system, is a very simple design. It looks like and feels like an Excel spreadsheet. Probably the most important thing to note here is the system was designed specifically for faster data entry. And what it means is we should be able to use to enter this primarily using the keyboard and the tab forward and tab backward key. We notice trying to use the mouse, so if you don't have a mouse and use an iPad, it will be a little bit slower. Let me give you an example. I'm just going to, for the moment, assume this is line 201, and I'm just going to enter 223, just to show you how it should work. Whoops. I'm going to type in Li Qiyong, and I'm going to press tab. That taps me across to nation or nationality, which is defaulted to Chinese. Having said that, we notice in the register there's a mixture of nationality, Indian, Chinese, Syrian, and so on. But by far the most volume-wise is Chinese. That's why we default to Chinese. Age, it is a pure number. In this case, it's 31. You can see the 131 sitting over here. I tab further across, occupation. The occupation is defaulted with a drop-down list. This drop-down list was built by us going through the register and looking for the most popular occupations. You should be able to find the occupation you're looking for in majority of the cases. Let's say we assume that this person is a cook. You can do a couple of things. You can use the mouse if you wanted to select the word cook. Alternatively, you type ahead the first character C and will give you all these things that start with C, C-O-O will give you cook. In this case, if you found the right one, all you got to do is use the arrow key, downward arrow key, to select the entry you wanted, and you tap away from that field. I repeat, so it is a downward key or X number of downward key to the entry you wanted, and tap away, it will automatically select that for you. So therefore, you don't have to type the whole thing. The same situation applies to residents. These are essentially suburbs or towns or cities that was declared on the register. So take, for example, I'm interested in somebody's Brighton, B-R-I. Actually, that's not true. Let me just follow that. In this case, Keon is in Richmond. So in this case, I have Angie District, Richmond. The Richmond I wanted is the third one. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, select a Richmond, tap away, Richmond is done. With this mechanism, we should be able to fairly quickly go through every single line, provided the information is already preset on the drop-down list. If it is not there, you can always overwrite it. For example, I decided this is in Ormond, which is a new suburb. It wasn't there before. You can certainly enter that, and it will accept it. Richmond, 1, 2, 3. A couple of interesting things is I have decided to put in capital at the beginning of the word, such as Lee and Keong. There is no reason for you to do that. If you feel that it's faster for you to enter as it is, you can certainly do that. We, the system people in the back end, can certainly format this a bit nicer at the end of the process. Now comes a very interesting thing. We, as historians, as data transcription person, you need to make some value judgment, particularly when you come to interpreting handwriting, cursive handwriting at that. So we think the name is probably more important, and most people will search by their name. And there will be situations whereby your guess is probably as good as mine. So in the situation such as this particular one, Lee Keong, K-E-O-N-G, this part could be interpreted a number of ways. So if you think it is worthwhile raising the issue with us, you can certainly use this column to put in your alternative name. So in this case, as an example, I will put as L-K-E-E-N-G, because I'm not quite sure whether that second word is an E or an O. Now, the reason why you're doing that is because the process we designed is we are trying to go through and data enter all the information twice, because we want to be sure that we capture as much as possible, as close as possible what it really is. So there will be somebody who's reviewing this work after you've done, and then based on other advices, we will have to make a decision. So what it also means to us is when we're data entering it, if we're not sure, you don't have to spend too much time making a final decision. Key in based on your best effort, best interpretation. If you think there is an alternative interpretation of it, put it under alternative name. We also have developed a handwriting guide, and that will be posted on this website. It is essentially a description of the common handwriting that we have seen in this set of 3 registers that potentially causes confusion. We'll put it up there so that it can give you an idea that if you're not sure, perhaps make a reference to this guide that will help you in making the final decision. On the far right is an additional comment that you can leave for us, specifically for this particular entry. For example, if you're not sure about the about the occupation or the address wasn't quite correct, you can certainly leave us a note. So this note, comment, and query essentially is free text. You can put in whatever it is, and we'll be able to pick this up and read it at the second phase. So let's say you finish doing this line. All you have to do is tap away to keep tapping, and the system will go through to the next line. Every single line is treated as a specific entry. So when you tap away from one line to the another line, the system will save it. So right now you have already just finished entering one line, which is line 201. If you wanted to, you can also use the button in the top right. It says save and continue. You can hit this button and it'll also save it for you. You can do either. So that's it. That's how it will work. When you finish, you'll be able to hit a button on the top, go back to the home screen, and you will be sent back into the data entry form. Okay, we are back to the home page or data entry form. After the first round of work, you can see that this page I was working on has increased. It's 8% finished, and the status is started. Now I can take a break, or I can continue with my work, which I'm going to do. When I want to go back onto the page, all I have to do is click continue, and we're back to where we are. But I just want to show you two interesting things. Is slightly more advanced technique on using the data entry form and how to do error corrections. You will have noticed when I was showing you the early stages of using the page, the data entry form, I was using this as a linear page. The image is in the top, I scroll down to the bottom, and I can see the data I've entered. Obviously, there's a problem because I have to go up and down pretty much all the time and remember what the line was before I can do the entry. There are two ways you can get around this, and let me show you the first method. The first method is essentially trying to split the screen into two parts, and this is what this pull out button actually does. If you click this, the image page will pop out into a window of its own. You can resize it, and what I'm attempting to do is split my screen into two parts vertically, one on the left containing my image, and one on the right containing my data entry form. So give me a few minutes, let me set this up. So now I've got the image on my left, and on the right is my data entry. Almost there. Got it. Now I can use the left to zoom in. What my intention is to line up the image line as close as possible to the data entry line. So you can now see 201, June 12, Hing, I think it is, Chinese 45, roughly line up to what I was keying in before. I did this deliberately because I want to show you two things. Let's say I make a major mistake and Li Qiong was in fact wrong, it should be Hing. I can just simply overwrite it. So in this case, Hing, Chinese 45, Hawker, second tab. I think he's North on. I think the name may well be Sing. The S and the H is similar. So what I've just done is corrected an error that I might have seen, but more importantly, I've now done the data entry side by side. Remember, I mentioned earlier on the importance of the line number. I would just double check to make sure 201 lines up with 201. And that is probably one of the more important things that we have to remember. Go to the next one, is help R, and so on. 48, Gardner, in Brighton. In Brighton. Bingo. We're done. So this is one simple way for us to achieve a fairly fast data entry with the screen split side by side. There is another method, and the other method involves a second computer or second screen. Now, if you have a second screen that is attached to your desktop, that would be fantastic because you can go left and right. A better version of that is use a second mobile device. I'm going to close this first. I need to explain to you how it will work. So you get your phone or your tablet and you log into Chinese ancestor Chindex again. So you now have two devices. You can have the phone sitting next to your desk, and you can be working on the desktop or your notebook computer, and you literally only work on the data entry part of the system and use the other phone device to look at the image. So you now have essentially two computers to work with, and it is the equivalent of having a physical page printed, and then you make reference to that, and then you do data entry over on your right. So the second method involves using an alternative device. It can be a phone, it can be your tablet, it can even be another computer if you have another one. And that will certainly speed up your data entry. One thing I forgot to mention is you notice at the moment my image has disappeared, and that's because I have reduced it. Reduce it because this button on the top, on the right-hand side, allow you to shrink, collapse, if you like, the image so that you can get more real estate. Is a bit of limitation on the screen that we have these days, and we have a very complex piece of thing we got to do. So either splitting the screen vertically into two panel will work. A slightly better method is you have an alternative device such as a mobile phone or a tablet that will do a far better job. When you've done all this, you click save and continue, or you go back to the home page of the CEDT. So that's it. That's how simple it is for it to work. We have built the system specifically to make it simple for us to use so that it speed up the data entry. So I think you will find it quite efficient doing it. However, if you have questions, if you need to contact us, either during the transcriber-thon that we have planned for May the 5th, 2019, or any other time before and after that, you can certainly email us. The two email method, of course, is chindexhelp@gmail.com, or use the contact us page to get in touch with us. As a developer of the system, I just want to say thank you very much for the time that you can donate in making this happen. It would not be possible without your dedication, and I am absolutely certain the result we are going to put up is going to be very useful for historian and family history researchers. Thank you again, and hopefully we'll see you soon in one of the forums.